Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Manish Shrestha, working as Assistant Professor at Haryana School of Business, GJ University of Science and Technology, Hisar. Today we are going to discuss about the topic Challenges to Compensation Management. Before starting the discussion, let's have a look at the contents. The discussion will start with the introduction about the topic, understanding of compensation management, its objectives and various challenges posed to compensation management, and ends with the challenges in the international compensation. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand compensation and its objectives, challenges in compensation management, and challenges in international compensation. Human resource is the most critical and important resource for any organization. Various factors of production are so coordinated by organizations that maximum utilization and maximum productivity and profitability are achieved. Among these factors, human resource is one of the such factor whose compensation is very tedious. Every element of human resource requires a separate set of rules and criteria for determination of compensation. In earlier times, monetary form of compensation in terms of wages and salaries was still easier, but now with various non-monetary and behavioral and psychological aspects creeping in this system, and compensation and its management has become a Herculean task. Compensation refers to a whole range of financial and non-financial rewards to employees against the services rendered by them. All forms of employee compensation constitute a large chunk of operating costs. Organizations need to develop a trade-off between costs, attractive compensation, and employee retention. On one hand, compensation has to be affordable to the organization. On other, compensation along with various fringe benefits should be attractive enough to attract as well as to retain skilled, qualified and trained employees. Majorly, all management and union disputes are directly or indirectly related to compensation. If compensation is uncompetitive and unattractive, employee retention will be a serious issue. So, employee compensation indirectly plays a vital role in the growth and development of the organization. Wages, salary and compensation are the three terms that are often mixed up in terms of their meaning or interpretation. Wage is the remuneration to workers that is paid hourly, weekly or piece production basis. Salary is mostly referred to remuneration that is paid on monthly basis to white-collar employees including management personnel. Compensation is a much wider term that covers in its scope lot many things other than the monetary remuneration like incentives, fringe benefits, perquisites, etc. Compensation includes all forms of financial and tangible services and benefits employees receive as a part of an employment relationship. Thus, compensation broadly includes wages, salaries, pay, perquisites, fringe benefits, performance incentives, commission, bonuses, stock options and remuneration. From the employee's point of view, compensation is much more than a means to meet their physical requirements. It is actually an acknowledgement of their skills and qualifications that determines their social standing. Compensation is also one of the main driving force for sincerity, commitment and hard work towards organizational goals. This is all the more relevant and emphatic in an underdeveloped country like India, where unemployment, poverty, deprivation and kinds are at the peak. From employer's point of view, compensation is important to plan and regulate the manpower and the associated costs. A sound compensation and its management minimizes employee grievances and helps maintain productivity. A well-planned and executed compensation plan keeps the employees' morale high that resultantly affect organization's performance and profits. This is the most crucial aspect towards maintenance of a sound and prosperous pool of human resources, also known as human capital. Employees' compensation is dependent on variety of factors like type of job, desirable skills, working condition, scale of operation, ideology of the organization, trade unions, competitive environment, political and social scenario. Keeping in mind the global scenario in various sectors, including the knowledge-intensive sectors, employees are often treated as value creators for the organization. So, it is important for organizations to have compensation that can appeal and retain best of talents. Therefore, compensation is very critical aspect for any organization from the point of view of employer, employee and the nation building. Administration of employees' compensation is referred to as compensation management or wage and salary administration. This includes devising and implementing various rules and regulations relating to employee wages or salaries and all other types of compensation. The compensation management tends to establish and sustain a balanced and equitable wage and salary structure such that the interests of employees as well as the employer are taken care of adequately. The most important function of compensation management are that of equity and motivation. Equity in terms of quantity as well as quality of work, keeping the skill set of the employees in consideration, while motivation refers to the positivity that the employees bring into the workplace. Compensation management includes job evaluation, architecture and designing of compensation plan, wage and salary administration, performance rewards, incentives and fringe benefits, employee stock option management, executive compensation management, legal framework for compensation and international compensation organization. The essential characteristics of compensation management system are continuous measurement of success factors, assessment of financial and non-financial customer focus criteria, variable pay component. Other characteristics are goal oriented, long term perspective, combination of internal controlling and external compensation survey, mix of monetary and non-monetary rewards, and finally, based on individual or team effort. Objectives of compensation management. A sound compensation management is one that is designed not only from the point of view of the organization, but is also able to understand the employee's psychology and keeps them satisfied as well. Although the viewpoint of individual and organization will always contradict, but this contradiction has to be dealt with intelligence to create a trade-off between the two with the certain objectives. The first objective is attracting the best and minimizing flux. From the point of view of the organization, the objective of compensation management is to attract the best of talent available in the market and retain the best of the best for the longest period of time. In a country like India, especially sustainability of employees and minimizing flux is a major challenge, keeping which in mind compensation comes to the rescue of the organization. So, the major objective of compensation management is to attract and retain the best of talents in the organization. Balanced compensation. There needs to be external as well as internal parity in the compensation paid to employees. External parity means compensation for a job must be from same for similar job in other organization. Internal parity means equal compensation for same job. That is, wage differential among jobs has to be in proportion of difference in worth of jobs. So, another objective of compensation management is to maintain a balanced compensation system in the organization. Motivating employees. Compensation management intends to motivate employees for higher efficiency and productivity. The financial aspect of compensation has a limited impact on employees' motivation. So, by various means of compensation management system, it needs to motivate employees for better productivity. Economizing costs. The other objective of compensation management is to optimize cost of organization by establishing a balanced relationship between performance and compensation. Higher compensation does not guarantee higher productivity or performance, but it actually depends on the relationship between performance and compensation. Compensation management tries to economize or optimize this. Few other objectives are to constitute job sequences and facilitates promotion and other guidelines wherever applicable. Another objective of compensation management is to work towards developing a positive union management relationship. Compensation management is more than providing a paycheck and cost of living increases. In many organizations, employee performance relative to organizational goals serves as the basis for compensation. Whether brought on by economic difficulties, changes in technology or other business factors, compensation remains a human resource challenge. The challenges includes forms of pay. Employee pay begins with the cash base and bonus pay, but may also contain non-cash forms of compensation. The valuation of non-cash compensation is often most difficult for employees to appreciate, but it offers the most opportunity for creativity on the part of organization. The next challenge is pay philosophy. All organizations pay according to some underlying philosophy about jobs and the people who do them. Compensation programs must consider and value the work of those who provide internal support to the organization as well as those who directly impact financial results. An organization's compensation strategy will dictate the rate and timing of pay increases, which jobs are eligible for bonuses, and the level of competitiveness with similar organizations. Employee incentive pay for performance has become increasingly popular. Companies use compensation to reward and boost the morale of high-performing employees, but also to motivate underachievers. Presentation of compensation. How a manager speaks regarding pay can inadvertently create ill will when the intention was to deliver good news. It is important to use specifics when speaking with the employees rather than categorize any pay increase as good, significant, or some other qualifier. Employee perceptions of compensation are based on individual values, needs, and expectations. Another challenge is pay competitiveness. Businesses wishing to compete for the best of the available talent pool must offer a competitive compensation program as compared to other companies within their industry at large. Automation and outsourcing. Automating compensation, including outsourcing some compensation functions, enables businesses to standardize its system throughout the organization. It also eliminates the paperwork and helps departments to communicate more effectively. It minimizes payroll errors and makes it easier to compensate performance based on quantifiable measures. Organizations may also use technology to benchmark jobs and survey employees. Generational differences. People are living longer and thus working longer. Difference in work ethic and expected compensation that fell along generational lines has to be considered. Older workers were more likely to work longer work hours in exchange for their pay, while younger workers expected high levels of pay even when their productivity was aided by technology. Multinational operation is another challenge. Multinational corporations must balance the needs and expectations of employees from various countries. Compensation must be balanced and in conformity with the local laws and customs against global corporate policies. Controlling labor costs. Labor costs often constitute the largest line in a corporation's budget. In a tight economy, companies are faced with a flat, if not shrinking, pool of funds. The cost of labor is broader than the amount paid to the employees, taking into account recruitment, training, turnover, infrastructure, and overhead, and the impact of these things on productivity. Compensation management is not only an HR issue, rather a business process. There are multiple challenges which are involved in managing compensation. Some of the other challenges faced by compensation management executives are multiplicity of compensation system. In India, many organizations employ temporary as well as permanent employees. The former are basically employed for employment, flexibility, and they are mostly paid indirectly through agencies such as labor contractors. They are paid minimum wages according to their skill set. Inequity prevails between permanent and temporary employees in terms of compensation structure and level. For example, a carpenter who is a permanent employee may be paid rupees 5,000 per month, whereas he may be only paid rupees 3,000 per month if he is employed on temporary basis. This leads to multiple compensation mechanisms which are difficult to design and administer effectively. Social justice and equity are also certain issues which are created due to this. It is important to dispense duality of structure level and system for compensation management. Structural inflexibility, talent attraction. In present era, organizations which are based on rigid compensation levels and systems find it difficult to attract and retain talented and efficient employees, since they demand higher levels of compensation and structures that are tax-friendly. This is a great challenge for organizations to tackle with. Compensation is more than survey. Unlike common belief which states that compensation only means salary or wages, it is a much wider concept. It includes all monetary as well as non-monetary components. Because of this misconception, organizations mostly end up focusing on economic parameters of employee compensation, and other vital components such as promotion, assignments, and appreciation are often neglected. Thus, organization must focus on developing reward systems that cater to social, physical, and psychological needs of individual employees. Human capital perspective. People working in an organization are an asset and major source of competitive advantage owing to their knowledge, talent and competencies. Compensation should be considered it as a cost and makes efforts to maintain it to a bare minimum. To keep a product cost low, organizations try to pay lowest possible wages and salaries. This assumption is incorrect and poses a challenge in efficient management of compensation. Cultural issues. Cultural issues and wants have a direct impact on compensation management. Compensation is considered as a matter of economics in some cultures, whereas in meeting psychological, economic and social needs of the employees in others. MNCs have to manage their compensation by considering norm of both home and parent country. Thus, it becomes a Herculean task for companies. Increased benefits. Another issue related to labors faced by organization is the capacity to maintain a competitive package of benefits, more specifically fringe benefits. In today's competitive labor market, the ability to provide a strong benefit package can be most important and difficult factor in recruit want and retention of employees. And finally, lack of strategic alignment. For proper management of compensation, it is essential to link it with strategy. The strategy of the organization should determine how much to pay, when to pay and how to pay. Such strategy is important for maintaining a motivated workforce. To summarize the discussion, human resource is the most critical and important resource for any organization. Various factors of production are so coordinated by organizations that maximum utilization and maximum productivity and profitability are achieved. Among these factors, human resource is one of the such factor whose compensation is very tedious. Every element of human resource requires a separate set of rules and criteria for determination of compensation. Compensation management is not only an human resource issue, rather a business process. There are multiple challenges which are involved in managing compensation. Some of the major challenges faced by the compensation management executives are multiplicity of compensation system, lack of strategic alignment, increased benefits, structure inflexibility, talent attraction, human capital perspective, cultural issues, etc. Happy learning.